So I've always wanted to build a lightsaber, and I own a bunch of tools. I just don't always have the time. And Poundbuttons.com wasn't always just supposed to be, and it's still not, just a game website. It just happens to seem that way because of the fact I just do game-related stuff, and I kind of talk about it being that way. But it was never really intended to be that way. It was supposed to be different kind of builds, items like that. I own the URL shakyfilms.com and shakystudios.com, and because I shake, and that has builds, unboxings, things like that. It's an old channel I have. I don't really put anything on it anymore. Sometimes I think about doing it, but I'm already so busy. But what I wanted to do is build a lightsaber. And here's the one I built. Now this will be different than what you see on the screen and what was in the thumbnail. And the reason why is I added a little bit more. So if this video is something that interests you, let me know, and I will talk about the additional parts here, because this part here is not the same as what it originally looked like. I'll put on the screen here what it did originally look like, and I'm going for more of well, let me back up a little bit. I'm a Star Wars fan. I think everyone who says that, or everyone says that that's doing some kind of lightsaber build or some Star Wars thing. And out of the Super Nintendo games, see, game related, Super Return of the Jedi was my favorite. They're such brutally hard games. But the cool thing is you could throw the lightsaber in that game, and I thought that was awesome. And I liked that form. I liked Obi-Wan. I've always liked, I guess it's Anakin's lightsaber, but I've always liked Luke's from Episode 4, New Hope. And this is the Anakin version. But this is actually one of my favorite Star Wars toys. Now, there's some things on here. It's got the belt clip here instead of the D-ring. It doesn't have the Texas Instrument bubble in here, or Empire Strikes Back was a good version where it had the ISA card set-in piece where they cut it off and put it in there. But this was the closest I could find. Getting a Graflex, I missed some opportunities on that, but getting a Graflex 3-cell, so expensive now. But I really like this. I have the removable blade for this where it works and everything, but I keep it with the blade out and keep it on the stand. But so I wanted to make one. And actually, you'll see here, I got the size down pretty good. Height and everything. I have the width, or, yeah, girth of the body, shaft. I said girth and shaft, same paragraph. That seems a little creepy. But, and then you'll see it's actually pretty equally sized in the opening there. So I want to figure out something to do in the blade in here. But this was a no-tool build. And you'll see that actually, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Oh, I actually took the flashlight out of this build. I won't be able to do that. But I'll put up on the screen here with the flashlight in it. And this one here, I want to figure out a way to get, it shouldn't be too hard. I don't know how easy it'll be to see in there, but it's an open cavity all the way through there. And this is all threaded in here, so I should be able to put anything in here. But the whole build, and the one that I originally built, I'm going to show the video on it here and go over some of the parts. And there was literally no tools at all used in this. So, yeah, so here we go.
So what I'll do is I'll have the parts list in the upper right hand corner, and I'm going to start out with the 1-inch conduit hub. It's an insulated thread. That's that little purple piece in there. That actually helps hold the flashlight in place when it's in there. But I'm going to separate those two pieces because the part on the right is going to be at the top of the hilt, the emitter part, and the bottom will be the butt to the hilt. Kind of cool thing with the threading in there is if I built two of these, I could actually take a 1-inch close nipple there that you see right above it, and I could combine them as into a double-bladed lightsaber. But that's a side thing. I did not do that in this video, but it could be done. So yeah, I got a brass fitting here, and then this one here. So it's even labeled as two things, and the reason why is I actually screwed them together too tightly and I couldn't get them back apart. I was actually going to go grab a wrench and pull them apart, and I'm like, nope, no tools. So I'm going to build this with no tools. I'm going to float the box around too with the parts. It'll shrink, get bigger and stuff. I don't want it to block too much, so I'll float it around in areas so it doesn't get too far in the way. This piece here is a compression fitting with a garden hose threading. This is probably one of the most expensive parts. So anything that's written in red is from Lowe's, black is Harbor Freight. I'm sorry, black is Home Depot, and blue is Harbor Freight, and that's just the free flashlight. I just happened to be in Lowe's and saw the compression fitting. I'm like, that's going to be an awesome emitter piece. So you'll see here, I'm actually dropping in what was going to be the clip piece for the belt in there, and I'm going to thread in the brass compression fitting over it. And I'm just using my fingers to get in there. It's a little tricky, but I mean, as long as you work at it in there, it'll screw together. And I did leave the rubber wash gasket in there. That's because you need that to take up room so that doesn't slide through. But once you have that in there, you just screw it together and you're good to go. It'll tighten right up. So I lost my audio for some reason. So yeah, so I got the emitter part screwed on. What I'm going to do is now put that part where I separated in the beginning. That top emitter part is going to get screwed on from underneath the way it's going to be. And the reason why is it will not go over the brass top. And I'm about to start putting probably the mid shaft to the emitter top all the way together now. So you can kind of see it coming along. Having the top portion where in my right hand with the brass fitting there, that's where the blade would be coming out of. And then, yeah, here you go. So now you can see, kind of see where it is now. So the next part that will get screwed in will be one of the 1-inch couplings. I'll be using a 1-inch to 1/2-inch reducer, one of the bushings to do that with. Okay, so let's grab that together here. So you'll see it just threads in there. Well, I'll try to get it threaded in there. And then it's the same as the piece up above in the emitter. I'm using 2 of them in this build. I ended up buying a 3rd one that I'm going to use for a different project. So if you want to see how this evolves, definitely subscribe, hit that notification, all that good stuff. And then I'm going to thread on the 1-inch coupling. And I can't remember if I mentioned this already or if this is part of the audio that got deleted, but I like how that piece actually looks like a Graflex piece, the part that clamps around. But I do have to get in the 1-inch close nipple in there, and that is so I can get the 2 1-inch couplings together in there. That'll give it some length, kind of Luke Skywalker's Return of the Jedi type hilt, where together it has that solid feel. And then we'll throw on the rest of that. Well, they call it insulated throat, I guess. Maybe that's the purple piece that's in there. But yeah, I'll throw that in the bottom here, and that kind of just completes it all up, actually. Now I will be unscrewing the 2 what look like kind of like the graphics clamp parts of the hilt apart again, because I do need to get the flashlight in there. Right now this is what it looks like without the flashlight. Due to the length of the flashlight, it'll get longer. But here you'll see there's the threads, and that's where I would want to get a polycarbonate blade or something, and that is something I will do in a further episode. I'm already kind of readapted this blade a couple times, and we'll get the light source in there. So here's what I was talking about. I'll have to unscrew the 2-inch, or well, 2 inches total, the 1-inch couplings. So many different sizes, different thread patterns, all sorts of stuff. I learned a lot while doing this, actually. But yeah, so you'll see that I can't quite close this with the flashlight in there. So I'll have to adjust the coupling, and that's going to leave the threads in there. And I actually ended up liking that. The only thing I think I would like a little bit better is, because I've actually always liked Obi-Wan's from episode 4 a little bit better. And where Luke's Return of the Jedi blade has like a solid shaft down to the end of the hilt, midway point down, Obi-Wan's actually it's more ribbed before it hits the the faucet knob at the end of the hilt, and this kind of gives it that breakup. I wish I could find, if I had a milling machine, I would try to mill that 1-inch coupling that's closer to the end. But yeah, it has a nice feel. It has a good length to it. Pretty happy with it. You can see the button for the flashlight in there. In fact, if I push the button here and turn it on, well, here, let me turn around and I'll show that to you. But yeah, you can see that that cheap flashlight's pretty good in there. So that gives me a lot of hope that I'm actually debating things. I'm thinking of actually putting the light source in the poly blade somehow, and have it where when you plug in the thread in the poly blade, that the base actually plugs in somehow, and then it lights up through there. I don't know yet. I'm still messing around with it.
And just like that, I lost my audio again. So, but I was just going to basically finish up saying, you know, here it is. Really happy what it turned out with. Pretty sure I mentioned it somewhere else in there, maybe in a text. But, hey, this is my my birthday lightsaber. So feel free to hit that like button and everything like that. I did something a little different, but I did it for me. Actually, I do all the videos for me, but anyone else who enjoys them. But I always wanted to build a lightsaber. But here I'm comparing the Graflex and the one I built together. And you'll see the size are very comparable. I mean, there's obvious a perspective angle of the camera here. The one I built actually, I think, might be a little taller than the Graflex style New Hope one. But I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And like I mentioned earlier, let me know if you want to see any of the changes that I made. Otherwise, you know, hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe. One more time, selfish plug. It's my birthday. Give me a like for my birthday. Thanks. But otherwise, have a good one. Thanks.